This is by far the #1 mobile conference in the year. I hope you can all agree. And I couldn't be more excited to be back on stage here at MAU. My name is Brian Quinn. I'm with AppsFlyer. And today we're going to have a lot of fun. Today we're going to dive into some of the main themes and challenges that we're contending with in our businesses and in the industry. We're going to hear from some top marketers I'm going to bring up in a little bit. And we're going to play a game. How does that sound? You guys are awake? You want to play some games? Let's get into it. So, we're going to play a little poker. Where are my poker players? Anyone still probably playing poker now? But we're going to play a little Texas Hold'em. And, I think best of all, I'm not going to ask you to spend your own money. Okay? I'm going to ask you to spend your company's money. The marketing budgets that your companies have entrusted in you, we're going to play a little gambling with that. How does that sound? How does that feel? Probably making a lot of finance people in the room nervous here. But anyways, let's get into it. So we got a flop. And we're going to reveal our first 2 cards. And, yikes. Okay, not the way we wanted to start the game off. Couple of bad cards, not a great start. I'm going to go ahead and call that signal loss and fragmentation. Okay? These are some tough cards we're all playing with, aren't they? Yeah. This is driving forces that have shaped our industry that will both become more pronounced this year and the years to come. And it's starting off giving us a tough hand. And we need a winning hand, don't we? So what do I mean by signal loss? So the deprecation of IDs, mobile IDs, IDFA, what we'll see with Google Ad ID, the deprecation of third-party cookies. We started to see that in Firefox and Safari. We'll see that in a much larger extent this year with Chrome. These are technical and policy changes made at the platform level. It's also legislation. We see starting with GDPR and CCPA, and even most recently, the Digital Markets Act in the EU. Legislation meant to protect consumer privacy, which is a good thing. But it really erodes the signals that we've come to rely on how we run our businesses, how we drive our marketing, how we interoperate and collaborate with all of our partners in the ecosystem. If you think about it, these signals have served as essentially an unofficial standard of which we conduct all of our ad and marketing operations, from how we target our audiences to optimize our campaigns, to measure the effectiveness of our ad programs. And it's not just losing signals as data points. There's an entire ecosystem that functions around these signals. And so it's a big deal. Without these signals, our reality is more cloudy. It reduces confidence in our models and in our marketing strategy, and it hampers our growth. And we all know that it's all about growth, and we have aggressive targets, and we have to grow efficiently. So this comes at great cost. In fact, McKinsey says it's a $10 billion hit on advertising revenue every year. So this is real. Okay, our second card is fragmentation. And what do I mean by that? Well, fragmentation exists in a number of different areas. Take platforms. We've certainly all seen a lot of fragmentation in iOS since the advent of iOS 14. Fragmentation exists across ad networks and your media partners. Self-attributing networks, SDK-based networks, they all have their own modeling. They all have their own approach to privacy, making it difficult for you to work across them all in a consistent manner. We'll have fragmentation on devices. When Privacy Sandbox on Android rolls out, we'll have multiple OS versions, some supporting Sandbox, some not. It will result in deterministic data, probabilistic data. We're also expected to see fragmentation in app stores. Courts right now are creating an environment where we'll likely see additional app stores. And think about adding that dynamic to your marketing strategy. And it's not just the app stores and the platforms. It's how we actually work with the data. Consider, why isn't Scan more adopted at this point? Why isn't it the source of truth for everything iOS? Well, one of the reasons is our systems are constructed to manage data in real time. And so when the data and the signal comes back delayed intentionally, it doesn't work with the rest of the system. So there is fragmentation across the board and in many aspects of what we're doing. And why is this a problem? Because when things are fragmented, they're difficult to scale. It's hard to find pockets of success and replicate that across your entire program when there's this much fragmentation. So it's tough. There are a couple of bad cards that we start our hand with. Now, third card, we're going to get to the flop here. We're going to call this macroeconomics, the conditions that we're all operating in. And what do you think? Is it going to be a good year? So far in the US, we've seen steady interest rates. We've seen a bullish equities market. We see ad spend, mobile ad spend, up year over year about 8 to 10% when we talk to marketing leadership. Now, that comes with strings attached. It's not grow at all cost. There are guardrails and thresholds. There's efficiency metrics. So the money's there, but you have to prove that you're spending it efficiently to be able to use it. Looking at a recent AppsFlyer report, we looked at the last 15 months, and year over year, we see an increase of 21% gain in user acquisition spend, led by iOS and non-gaming apps. It's a good sign. We also see consumer spend tick up. In fact, 8 out of the top 10 global markets have seen an increase of 7% revenue jump in in-app purchases. So these are good signs. And I think you could all agree sitting here in the US that we have some wind at our backs this year. The sentiment is different, the climate's a little bit different, and I think we could take advantage of that. So I'm going to give that a good card. Okay, let's see what's next. I cannot be up here on stage at MAU in 2024 and not talk about AI. So here it goes. But will it be a good card for us this year? There's a lot of hype. There's a lot of buzz. I don't need to tell you how many startups and how many companies are coming to market with AI-first solutions for marketers, trying to reach you with the promise of driving efficiency and scale and reducing costs. But what will stick? Will it be a good card? Gartner talks about over the next 12 years an incremental spend by companies of $50 trillion on AI products and services. $50 trillion. So there's a lot happening. It'll be an ace for some businesses, and it'll disrupt and eradicate others. And we see marketers beginning to lean in. Many marketing teams are using generative AI for copywriting, for creative, for analysis, for market research. They're becoming AI literate. And there's a plethora of third-party applications out there. So we're very bullish on AI. Here's what I say. We have to make this a winning card. It's in our control. We can't sit out. We have to lean in. Okay, the river, the last card here. Now this is really where you come in. But first, what I'd like to do is dive a little bit deeper into the challenges that are plaguing us and talk about our approach to helping to solve these problems in the coming years. So this is where we're going to get our hands a little bit dirty. I'm going to go a little technical. This is a good time to wake up and pay attention if you're not already. So you guys with me? Yeah. Okay. Cool. What is this? It's a chart, right? Great. It's an example of one component of this complex machinery we call attribution. And it's Sandbox. But when I say Sandbox, I only mean Android. And when I say Privacy Sandbox for Android, I really only mean within the Attribution API. And when I say the Attribution API, I really only mean the aggregation service. okay? And this comprises of a number of processes. First, we have to establish a service and endpoints on end user devices to grab the postbacks. They need to be encrypted and batched and sent into a trusted cloud environment. We need to then fetch the keys to decrypt the data. Once that's done, you can query the data for the attribution results, and only then can you take that data into your data warehouse or S3 bucket and gain the insights through a data visualization tool. Okay? Makes sense? We're here? Awesome. Like I said, it's the aggregation service on Android, but there's more. There's a Sandbox Studio, and that's where you configure what you want to measure. And we have certainly iOS, and you have Scan, Conversion Studio, and media partner integrations to contend with. And of course, we have Apple Search Ads, a completely separate API that's going to return deterministic measurement on your Apple Search Ad campaigns that you need to integrate and get the data and run last click attribution against. And there's more parts of iOS. You might be running with advanced SRN solutions like we have with TikTok and Snap. And you'll have consented IDFA data. And you'll have probabilistic data. And you'll have, of course, Android attribution with Google Ad ID and Google Refer. And you'll have modeling data. And this could be modeling for the null values in Scan. This could be geo-modeling. This could be LTV modeling. And you'll want ad spend data. You'll want to ingest your cost into the same system to compute return on ad spend accurately. And you'll have fraud protection for attribution. And you can quickly see the complexity of managing this is a real challenge. But it's not just about actually managing the data and the integrations of all of this that's the real problem. The problem is, how do you have a single way to look at your business? How do you have a single way to look at the marketing picture? We believe you need a single source of truth to do this. For your entire marketing picture, you need one way, one view. Finance has their view of your business. Product teams, game studios, they'll have their view. Marketing needs its view. Ultimately, the entire business needs a single view. Today, our single source of truth is helping to give a single view on iOS, scan and non-scan data. We're set up to help with Android for privacy, Sandbox. But the point here is this. The marketing picture is incredibly complex, and it's only going to get more fragmented. And if you don't have a single point of view, how are you going to make the best decisions? How are you going to have a seat at the table within your companies? Okay, so we're talking about measurement, and we firmly believe that accurate and trusted measurement is at the core of any tech stack. Otherwise, the integrity of all your decisions is at risk. But it's not just about having trusted measurement. It's the signals that reside on top of that, which are equally important. These are the data that you're sending to your media partners and ad networks, buying ads to help you grow, placing ads within your apps. And you need a machine to manage all these signals, a flexible, dynamic machine operating at real time and at scale that allow you to configure what data you send to what partner for your specific use case and your specific privacy frameworks. And we talked about signal loss. It's not even just about managing signals. It's about creating new signals in the face of signal loss. So think about it. Single source of truth gives you a new signal, one that you can be very confident within on the entire iOS platform that you can use to optimize and make business decisions. We gathered most of the industry partners recently to create enriched engagement types, which will create new metrics of how we measure marketing, more accurately reflecting how our users and consumers are interacting with our ads and giving a richer, fuller picture of our campaigns and their new signals. And we have signals from incrementality and lift tests and MMM models. Now, think about all the applications that can reside on the stack, and I'm going to bucket them into three groups. There are applications that AppsFlyer builds, there's applications that you build in-house, and there's third-party applications. Let me give you some examples. We believe that if we're able to leverage our data and uniquely build something for the market that nobody else can do better, we're going to take that shot. Think about our fraud P360 solutions. We're sitting on orders of magnitude more mobile data than anyone in our space. So if we run machine learning models across that data set, we feel that we're best positioned to find these anomalies and patterns to block fraudulent installs. Take creative analytics, a service we launched last year, seeing tremendous adoption, using AI to actually look at the elements within a creative and measure that creative's performance against your marketing outcome, helping teams optimize creative, a huge lever for marketing. So there'll be applications that sit on the stack that AppsFlyer delivers. There'll also be applications that you're developing in-house. Think about all the modeling you're doing around prediction, around incrementality. Many of you have bid automation systems that data from our platform need to feed. And finally, think about third-party applications that you're able to access through AppsFlyer's Privacy Cloud Marketplace. We announced this at the end of the last year. I'm super excited. I think this is the big unlock. All of the applications in the market, all these new companies coming to market, trying to drive efficiency in your business, trying to help you drive scale, but that need access to data that's within AppsFlyer. On your permission, we can enable those businesses and those tools to use that data, unlocking all the innovation on the marketplace. So it really doesn't matter who's developing the application. Now, I'm really excited to bring up a couple of top marketers, one at a time, AppsFlyer customers. So please bring your hands together. Help me welcome Chris Kim from mobilityware. Welcome, Chris.
Thanks, Brian. Hey, good morning, guys. Glad to be back here at MAU with everybody here. I'm Chris Kim, Director of User Acquisition at mobilityware. We're a leading publisher of card and casual games, including some of the top solitaire games on the market. If you're into card games, please check us out. Now, 2023 was a year that brought a lot of economic uncertainties that really upped the pressure to be more precise with our data. In terms of a tightening business environment that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, rising costs, stagnant revenue, all the while losing visibility and signal. Internally, the fragmentation of our data set was causing a lot of confusion. We have scan telling us one thing, we have probabilistic telling us another. I wanted to find a way to unify these data sets in making media mix decisions. So I had a few hypotheses in mind while we crafted our assumptions here. First being that scan is ultimately a deterministic source of attribution with full access to the iOS ecosystem while being privacy compliant, which means that it knows things that we don't by design. So I joined AppsFlyer SSOT data with some internal product analytics and ran some regression analyses. I was able to observe a strong correlation between the ratio of scan installs to MMP installs, or probabilistic, on the x-axis, to our internal quality metric on the y-axis. So on the graph on the right there, each dot represents one of our iOS partners in their score of their ratio of scan installs versus our internal quality metric. By implementing this signal into our optimization efforts, I was pleased to say that the impact was not only measurable, but quite significant. We reduced scan CPI by 46% year over year, all the while growing the confidence to scale up our iOS spend by 6% year over year, while increasing our scan ratio by 30% year over year.
Woo!
Now, projects like this make me happy because I was able to create a story from seemingly chaotic data sets. As I mentioned earlier, AppsFlyer SSOT data was invaluable in this analysis as it reduced the time needed to pull these numbers. And for all of you in the audience, as you grapple with the mounting pressure to make sense from this chaotic data, my advice to you is twofold. So first, give yourself the headspace to think by automating the data prep as much as possible, and to start with what you know to be true and build from there. That's it for me, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Great job. Great story, great advice, great results. Next up, please help me welcome Melissa Lertzmitzavanta from GoPuff. Welcome,
Hi,
Melissa.
everyone. Thanks, Brian. Hi, I'm Melissa Lertzman-Tavanta, Director of Growth Marketing at GoPuff. GoPuff is a convenience delivery platform where you can get things like your snacks, alcohol, groceries, and more in areas where we service you in as fast as 15 minutes. If you want to experience that magic, you can try it out. Use the code WELCOMEMAU. So as Brian mentioned, the industry has been dealing with signal loss, fragmentation, and privacy. And as marketers, we've had the added challenge of companies tightening up their marketing dollars, putting pressure on us to find more ways to drive more installs, more customers, more efficient media. So how do we do that? We really have to evaluate and analyze the role that each channel plays in our portfolio to drive more efficiency. And as we optimize those dollars, it is so important to have trusted, reliable data coming from our measurement tool to make those sound decisions. We use AppsFlyer as our source of truth to measure our app data, which represents about 75% of our traffic, and we use it to measure 60% of our paid portfolio. The base of this data, I want to underscore, is so important because we use it to pipe it into our internal attribution model, and collectively with first-party data, it's used to make decisions. To optimize for growth, we took a look at our paid and non-paid traffic, and I want to touch on a few things. First, it is so important to define the role that each channel plays and what percent allocation, which is super critical. So paid search, no surprise, it's used to capture intent. Paid social is meeting the consumers where they're already consuming that media. And I think by the time you guys woke up this morning, I'm sure you've checked one of your social media accounts. Programmatic is where you have that vast inventory where you can balance that quality and quantity. Affiliates, where you can extend the reach through advocacy. And then, of course, always testing new channels so you can discover new audiences. So that just covers paid, which represents a smaller subset. You have a larger piece of non-paid that it's super important to also have the appropriate tracking links and deep links so you have that holistic picture where it's possible. Then we established a 360 feedback loop to triangulate all that data. So, we have scan attributed channels, you've got self-attributing networks, you have a lot of fragmented data coming across all your channels. And we want to triangulate that data and really take a look at all the in-app events that you're collecting. And with all of that, you then want to be able to pipe that data back to the partners in order to optimize those conversion funnels. So it's been 1.5 years of doing this, and I just want to touch on a few things. We've been super pleased with the results. We've had a 48% growth in new channels spend. We've been able to drive 168% in new customers while reducing the CAC by 42%. While a lot of initiatives have contributed to this growth, I do want to specifically call out how AppsFlyer has been a cornerstone of our marketing backend data in order to make those decisions. So thank you, AppsFlyer, and thank you, Brian, for inviting me up here to share our GoPuff story. I'll leave you with this. Driving efficient growth is not easy, but with good data, the dopamine from winning will make it all worth it. And we're all in Vegas, so let's win.
Congrats. Thank you. Awesome results. I love these stories of these top marketers looking and making testing decisions and proving their hypotheses with good data. I mean, that's what it's all really about, isn't it? So, let's get back into our game. I said this last card is about you. How do we make this a winning hand? We have a lot of challenges to contend with. We got signal loss, we got fragmentation, we have innovation, we have AI, we have growth targets, we got return on ad spend targets. There's a lot going on here. How do we create a winning hand? The answer lies in the decisions that you make for your business. We're here to help take the complexity out of your hands, help you navigate some of the industry changes. My advice is to get the infrastructure ready, streamline the pipelines, get ready for Sandbox, continue to use the data to drive efficient growth in your business. But to make the best decisions, we need the best data. Trusted, accurate, unbiased data. It's the foundation of everything. It provides confidence in our strategies and in our models. It allows for scale despite increasing fragmentation. It feeds AI without sacrificing consumer privacy. Let's face it, it separates the winners from the losers. We are here to help create a winning hand. So Vegas, don't gamble with unreliable data. Thank you very much, MAU.